a few seconds. We'll just give it a minute for folks to join in. I think we already have a few questions when we, sort of put the word out that we have you, Nisarg, on today. We had a few questions streaming in. We'll take it as a part of the whole conversation. So
sure,
good. All right. Okay, I think we should get started. Yeah. All right. Super. So very, very excited again to be back on our weekly live. And today is a little different from the other conversations we've been having. We actually have something not around conversion rate optimization or, how do you run experiments, but something very different, influencer marketing, in fact, and how to leverage influencers to actually have a great impact on your business. So this is like a refreshing take and a refreshing change for us too. Thinking about, the business holistically and thinking about how to leverage, people around the world who are not just, great lovers of your product or your brand, but also who other people love a lot and they follow and they, love their content and love their ideas and perspectives on different products, how to leverage that whole energy and actually make it work for you and your business, right? So we have Nisarg with us, and we also have a special appearance from Ria today. So all of you guys have heard about Ria over different calls and different conversations. There she is. And, both Nisarg and Ria will be diving into this awesome, topic today. So welcome both. And I'll get started with Ria. Why don't you take the lead today?
Sure. Thanks, Cos. And welcome, Nisarg. Just a quick introduction to everyone watching our live today. Nisarg Shah is the co-founder and CEO of Affable AI. It's a data-driven influencer management platform. He has also been a serial product builder over the past few years. He has worked with Goldman Sachs, where he spearheaded storefront automation, software automation, and big data projects, and has also kind of developed and launched quite a bunch of platforms previously, if you have to name it, Graspa and Visualize, before Affable. So over to you, Nisarg. Tell us a bit about yourself and basically what you do for e-commerce teams.
Thanks a lot for having me today. Hey everyone, I'm Nisarg. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO at Affable AI. We've helped e-commerce and enterprise businesses find, manage, and measure their social media influencers. This started back in 2017 when talking to a lot of these e-commerce brands, we realized that they had no clue about the kind of influencers they were working with, who was effective, who was not, who had real followers, who had fake followers. And they were looking for solutions that would give them more granular insights into their influencer performances. And that's where we set out to build that platform. Today, we work with more than 100 brands across APAC and US, helping them manage their end-to-end influencer program.
That's awesome. Okay, so let me just jump into the fundamentals. Why do you think is it so important for brands to kind of run an influencer marketing program today? And what do you think is kind of, like the impact that it has on acquisition and retention because of it? Yeah.
So if you think about it, word of mouth has been a fundamental channel for marketing over decades. The way it has evolved with social media and the play in the last 10, 15 years is this word of mouth is shifting more towards influential micro celebrities. So before there used to be big celebrities doing television ads, radio ads out of home. With social media, these micro celebrities become more available for even smaller e-commerce brands to leverage. So influencer marketing, if you think about it and break it down, it's pretty much word of mouth through micro celebrities to reach a large audience. And it becomes very, very important, especially in this day and age, because buyers like us spend a lot of time on social. We are influenced by social trends. We are influenced by what our friends are talking about and what people we follow are talking about. So if a if a brand wants to reach the millennial audience in a specific niche, then a very reliable channel is influencers. So there is no doubt that influencers are able to drive ROI. Some of the brands that have successfully worked with influencers are driving around 20x ROI on every dollar that they are spending with influencers. And apart from just driving new sales, influencers also help kind of keep the word out and with keeping the brand image or brand share of voice on their follower base. So if you're working with an influencer and they talk about your brand, let's say in January, and again in March, and again in June, it helps kind of continue the share of voice that you have in the follower group, and also helps with retention of your existing customer base so that they don't go ahead and buy a competitor's product the next time.
Yeah, that leads me to a question. I'm jumping in. And we were kind of chatting about it before we started the live stream. Is that influencers are not just about social. It definitely helps reach the right audience on social, but it's actually about way beyond, right? It's about building a relationship. It's about constantly being top of mind for your consumer base, etc. Have you seen in kind of like real tangible uplifts, and if you have any information like anecdotes or data around it would be great. But what has been your observation around influencer marketing and influencers and their impact on, let's say, average order value or repeat purchase from customers, etc.? And it could be different for different kinds of industries, like for beauty versus fashion. But is there any anecdotes or insights there, Nisarg? Would be very interesting.
So kind of like just to give more visibility to the audience, a lot of influencer marketing has shifted away from just marketing to sales. And when I talk about sales, a lot of these sales are new sales. So currently the way influencer marketing stands is, how do we leverage influencers as a sales channel? Think of it as an affiliate channel to drive new sales and new customers coming to the website, to drive new purchases, let's say during a Black Friday promotion that we are running. So influencers are now being leveraged more as a sales channel. And then there's all the tracking that goes into who's being effective, who's not being effective, etc. So yes, there is a lot of brands. So we work with a couple of brands. There's one brand called BlendJet. They sell portable blenders and like majority of their sales come through social media. Their strategy is very interesting. So they have like this one big influencer who gives them a lot of reach, but then they leverage hundreds of micro influencers as a long tail that drive a lot of the sales. And during Black Friday, they reached out and worked with more than 100 influencers in that one weekend, and were able to drive more than 1 million in terms of sales and purchases of their new BlendJet product. So this is where we are seeing a lot of these new age, fast growing brands leveraging influencers more in terms of driving sales for the brand.
Got it.
So because you mentioned influencers being leveraged as a sales channel, right? And because you brought up micro influencers as well, I would love to know what's the difference between, for our viewers, of course, what's the difference between micro and macro influencers, and what kind of impact they have on B2C brands?
So the difference between micro and macro influencers kind of like changes per channel. A lot of the influencers on TikTok kind of like easily get 2,000, 5,000 followers. So they are not considered micro on TikTok, but someone with 5,000 followers on Instagram is considered like a micro influencer. But for all practical purposes, the way we look at these categories is less than 100,000 followers is typically micro. Within that, if it's like less than 5 or 10,000 followers, and there's a new category called nano influencers, because you need to kind of keep coming up with these buckets so that as influencers grow, there's a big volume that comes into any of these categories. So less than 100K is nano and micro. 100K to 1 million is typically macro, and more than 1 million is typically celebrities or like bigger ambassadors. So when we talk about the long tail micro influencers, we're talking about those influencers on an average who have less than 100,000 followers or subscribers.
Got it. Got it. So can you give us a few more examples of utilizing each of these nano, micro, and macro influencers in your store-led campaigns? Like
Sure.
any
So,
example of brands that come
yeah, definitely. Right. Like one of the pet products company we work with, they sell cat furniture, a very unique product, right? Like if you have a cat, you have all these like houses and trees and stuff that they play around with. And there's this e-commerce company that just sells like cat-based products. One of the challenges they faced is they had saturated their Facebook ads targeting cat owners. So they wanted to add a new channel to reach out and drive more sales through social media. And if if you go to Instagram, there are a lot of these pages that just upload like cat content or like dog pet content in general, right? So some of these brands, again, in the last like 6 months, they've been working and scaling a lot of their sales through influencers. This specific pet brand, they grew their sales like 200% over 2 months, leveraging 50 to 60 odd cat micro influencer accounts, because they would send a product. So there's this new trend about product seeding, where you reach out to a bunch of influencers and you tell them, I'll send you a product, you post about it and use an affiliate code so that your followers get a discount. And in this case, the cat product company would send out products to like 100 influencers. A lot of these influencers are not obligated to post about it. So typically you would see 70-80% of these influencers would still post about it. But it is a very low cost approach for a brand to seed out products with influencers and get like 70-80 influencers talk about the product. And because there's a discount code, the brand is now able to track who is driving conversions and then work with that influencer over a longer period of time, doing more collaborations and content creation.
Something came to my mind. Have you seen an example of this micro or other product seeding being used for like, product discovery in a way, or product market fit? Have you seen that use case, Nisarg? Like where someone's like building products which are probably a little bit more expensive, and so it makes sense to utilize influencer strategy, but like implementing it almost like to discover whether my product actually has a need in the market.
We have, yes. One of the companies we work with is a supplements brand, health supplements. And as part of their validation, they pretty much just did this. I mean, it kind of like serves two goals, right? One is if it works, it is going to drive sales. If it doesn't work, they know it doesn't work, right? So you kind of do A/B testing, sending out products to influencers. In this case, health supplement brand that was focusing on moms. So there are a lot of these mom influencer accounts on social media channels, and the health supplement brand would send out products to these influencers, see the kind of engagement. So in this case, it is beyond just sales, right? They also want to measure the sentiment within the comments. So if someone is talking about this new supplement, are people asking where to buy, or are people saying, oh, you're such a salesy, this doesn't look good, I'm not going to buy it, or something like those, right? So there's also a lot of information within the comments and the engagement that these influencers receive when they post about it. So yes, there's definitely a use case of validating or doing product market fit discovery and using influencers for that.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, those are like interesting examples. So now, can you also, like in general, asking, like, can you also throw some light on when does it make sense to kind of go for micro influencers versus macro influencers or versus nano influencers? Can we deep dive into that?
For sure. So the benefit of a micro influencer is that it is, more affordable, right? So as a brand, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on an average, micro influencers will be more affordable. They might be more open to the idea of posting in exchange of a product rather than asking for a compensation necessarily. Macro influencers on the other side, they give you a lot of reach. So if your focus is to increase awareness of the product, well, let's say you're launching a new supplement or you're launching a new restaurant, you want more people to know about it. that is where macro influencers come in. One thing we've realized work very well is a hybrid strategy. So a couple of macro influencers would give a shout out and get your brand out there. And then the micro influencers, an army of micro influencers, are able to drive engagement and sales because they are more affordable. They are willing to post in exchange of a product, and they have a very high engagement rate versus a macro or a celebrity would be very expensive. Their engagement rate is low, but they can get the word out to a lot of people within like one post. So a best case scenario is if you have the resources, work on a hybrid strategy. If not, if you're a store owner who's experimenting with influencers, I would suggest going with, let's say, 10 to 20 micro influencers and working on a product seeding campaign might be a very good start for you to validate if this channel works or not.
Got it. Totally makes sense. Yeah.
So I have a question, right? And we're talking about influencers and kind of like leveraging them to drive almost like recall, but second is also drive sales. But D2C is like D2C brands are no longer a single channel, right? Like you are everywhere your customers are, right? And so marketplaces form a very big part of your strategy, actually go-to-market strategy as a brand. So just curious, about it. Have you seen direct examples of influencers being able to, drive better traction on a marketplace like an Amazon?
So for all practical purposes, anywhere you sell, you can leverage influencers as a channel, right? Even if you take it one step ahead, if you have a store, like a retail outlet, influencers can still drive sales. We've heard of scenarios where people walk into those stores and say, hey, give me this specific purse that this influencer has on their Instagram page. So yes, it works in stores. It definitely also works on Amazon. And the benefit with Amazon as a marketplace is you can have trackable links within like who's driving that traffic to Amazon and measure where is the sales coming from. Similar to Shopify or a Magento or other storefront. But it is not as native. So when you work with, let's say, influencers and want to drive traffic to Amazon, there's like multiple steps involved in trying to do the attribution reporting and measurement versus when you work with a Shopify store, because then you own the insights and you have all the visibility into it. But in terms of traffic, yes, we've seen a lot of these brands who are ramping up sales on their Amazon storefront just through influencers. And kind of like just to add to that, irrespective again of where you are selling, today a lot of your buyers, if they are, let's say, active on social, then irrespective of your storefront, you want to engage them and you want to drive them to your storefront. So you want to be able to kind of like get the word out through these influencers, because influencers have a trust mechanism. They work on the trust mechanism. The followers are following them because they trust the influencer. The followers like the content they are creating. So if you give creative freedom to the influencers, they're going to create some amazing content, which you can also reuse on your Amazon listing or on your product listing on your Shopify store. So this is one more scenario we've seen where a lot of our brands, they work with influencers to get content. So yes, they will post on social, etc. But these are very creative content creators in general, right? So if you go to an Amazon page today, you might see some of those UGC videos. Influencers create much better UGC content because that's their bread and butter every single day.
So that's very interesting, because in a marketplace channel, it's about optimizing your product listing. So what I'm hearing from you is that why not utilize influencers and their creativity to actually like kind of almost like give a user's point of view into your product listings, kind of bring that, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that it would be more beneficial for certain kind of industries versus others? Like an electronics would benefit more, or beauty would benefit more, but would a pet care also benefit? Like just kind of brainstorming around here.
So yes, there are certain industries which would definitely benefit more. These are industries which are more visual, like for example, lifestyle, beauty, kind of like fitness, health, and wellness. because these industries also drive their sales on recommendations. If I recommend that this cosmetic product is better than the other, then you might go and purchase it. So it definitely works better for some industries compared to some others.
Got it. Maybe more visual industries is the first sort
Yes.
of.
So in terms of like, just if I were to rank them based on like all the brands we've worked with, fashion and beauty, like fashion and beauty are kind of one or two, like they keep swapping. But these are like the main drivers. Then there's fashion accessories, like shoes and things around fashion accessories in general.
Yeah.
Health and fitness is coming up to be a very big industry. So supplements, athleisure, kind of like gym related content. So that is coming up as a very big category. Parenting and moms and family is coming up as well, like diapers. There's all sorts of organic and clean and vegan parenting and family products that is kind of like coming up as a big category. So yeah, these are kind of like stuff that I see as an industry, and especially for e-commerce, that is thriving in terms of influencers.
That really helps. Thank you. It'll really help our audience. So thank you for diving into that.
Of course.
Yeah. So Nisarg, on that note, there are also various models, right? Like frameworks. For example, in our last conversation, you mentioned something about this affiliate model, right? So what kind of impact does it have on your in-store conversions? And also, does that vary across industries? And also, is that the only framework, like, or only model that kind of has some kind of an impact on your store conversions? Would love to deep dive on that.
I'll take the second question first, right? So affiliate is not the only kind of framework that helps with storefront conversions. And the reason affiliate works is attribution becomes easier. So even if you were not doing affiliates, let's say you just ask an influencer to post about this new electronics that you've launched, people might go and still buy the product, even if there is no affiliate, there's no discount, there's no code at all. It's just that attribution becomes difficult because you don't know where are these new buyers coming from. So that is why affiliate has picked up as a very prominent channel. Basically, what's happening is, and one thing we touched upon, product seeding. Brands are now being very protective of their influencer dollars. Like, where is the dollar spent happening? And rightfully so, because when you spend $1 on Facebook ad or Google ad, you can very easily measure your ROS. You can see what your CPC, CPE, you have all of those metrics. And a data-focused marketer, when they work with influencers, suddenly you don't have any visibility. Now, when you work with influencers and quote-unquote affiliates, it becomes easier for you to measure the ROI literally, because now if I've sent you $100 product and if I've paid you another $100 on top of it, so my spend on this collaboration, let's say, is $200. And if you are able to drive sales for me worth $2,000, then it's a 10x ROI for me right away, right out of the park, right? So how do I know that you drove $2,000 of sales for me? Because I'm working with 50 different influencers and I got $50,000 in sales. But if all of these buyers were to use those discount codes or affiliate codes that I have individually given to all of the influencers, I can very easily segment where these buyers are coming from and attribute it to the right influencers. That is where influencers affiliates is becoming a very prominent channel in terms of like social media. And this is more relevant for social media, doesn't apply for offline conversions, etc. So that's where, and that's what we mean by influencers as affiliates.
Got it. So any examples of, like driving upsells via influencer strategy? Like, is there any example of a brand that you can think of right now?
Yeah, I think upsells becomes an important, interesting thing. I think, Nisarg, going back to what you were talking about, that influencers not just help you to drive like that one buy, but also in terms of, hey, being top of mind, reminding your dedicated user base that this brand exists. And, if you bought this serum from the brand last time, they have this, another sort of a, moisturizer coming, and it's sort of, they both go well together. So upsells become such an important part of several of the industries that you mentioned, beauty, supplements, mom and baby. Any example that, as Leah was asking, I would be very excited to hear too, like if something comes to mind.
I don't have a specific example of like at least
Yeah.
the brands we worked with using influencers for upsells, but one kind of adjacent is there's a lot of giveaways. Influencers kind of doing giveaways for brands, right? Now, this doesn't necessarily result into upsell, but what it does is it kind of it brings the user to the site. And if you were to use, and if you were to work with influencers along with other channels, along with a lot of your optimizations, along with other tools and techniques that you use on your store for driving upsells, what influencers help you do is bring more people that you can upsell to, right? Imagine a scenario where you're only upselling your existing customers, and that's pretty much it. But now you have this completely new group of followers. An example of a brand that ran a giveaway, and every time someone came to kind of claim the giveaway, they would upsell something else. And now people are more willing to take it up because this base product was anyway at a heavy discount or for free. So you're kind of like upselling this new product that you've launched. But this again is more where influencers work with some other techniques and tools that you have on your store to drive upsells rather than influencers themselves kind of driving upsell.
So this giveaways, like, was it for a sale or for an event like Black Friday, or was it like just out of the blue, like a giveaway season sort of a thing?
So in this case, it was for a launch of a new product. Typically, brands do giveaways when they're launching a new product. So it's kind of like getting the word out there, getting the product in the hands of more people at a low risk kind of mechanism. That's where we've seen a lot of these brands do giveaways.
Got it.
The example. Love that.
Yeah, that's relatable. Actually, I was buying a product from My Glam the other day, and this was something that they tried out as well. So yeah. Now, Nisarg, we have like 5 minutes of the live, but I would just love to kind of do a case study of sorts. Like, help us with the details of a brand maybe that kind of used influencer marketing content to grow their overall business. You can share your screen if you would like. Because you were saying there are brands which are kind of earning 20x on every dollar spent on their influencer marketing content, right? So I would love to do a case study of a brand that you can think of at the moment.
Sure. So there's one case study that we have on our website as well. Just want to like share that. Let's see.
Sure.
Share my screen.
Yep.
Kind of like touched based on this brand earlier. So this is BlendJet. They sell, like the picture that you see here, they sell blenders. And we've been working with the brand, like very popular now. A lot of their strategy revolves around influencers. They have this one big influencer, some millions of followers, as their ambassador, and also as a kind of like a partner in the business. But where they get the real sales and conversion is through micro influencers. And a challenge they face is how do you manage like hundreds of micro influencers in house without having to leverage an external agency. So during Black Friday, they were also launching kind of like a product which was during the same time Black Friday campaign. And they ran a big promotion on their own storefront saying, if you buy, you get some discount. But at the same time, they collaborated with a lot of the influencers. And one of the challenges they were facing is they had like no analytics, no insights in terms of who the influencers are, who the followers are, which influencers are able to drive conversions and sales, and how do you reach out to hundreds of influencers in your category. In this case, it was more fitness, outdoorsy, people who make like protein shakes on the move kind of influencers. So that's where they leveraged technology, they leveraged a platform which would give them recommendations. But now for every sale they drove, and there were two key goals that they were trying to achieve with this. One is they wanted to reach a large audience. So through the influencers they worked with, they reached more than 1 million new followers of these influencers that were targeted specifically for their product. So they were able to reach a massive audience and drive more visitors to their website. But at the same time, kind of they saved a lot of time and effort that would otherwise go into running this campaign. So this is one example. And if I was to kind of show you what is the kind of influencer content that went out on BlendJet. So this is what the blender looks like. As you can see, like this is the blender. It's pretty cool. I have one as well. But there are a lot of influencers that spoke about like the blender and how they made different kinds of recipes. They also did giveaways that kind of like worked very well in this case. So working with hundreds of micro influencers and then a couple of mega influencers were helped BlendJet drive a lot of their sales and performance, which they kind of like did not do before. So now this brand relies heavily on influencers, and that is kind of like the go-to market per se. But there are a lot of other brands that we see that keep experimenting with influencers, and when it hits, they scale that from that point onwards.
Great. That is awesome. I mean, we're right on time as well. So that was a great wrap up with such an awesome case study, Nisarg. So it was amazing listening to you and bringing in a different perspective today to store conversions and PPC e-commerce. So I would love to kind of deep dive into this topic again. Would love to invite you again for another live stream. But today we are running out of time. Hope you enjoyed the chat. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Nisarg.
Thank you, Nisarg. Yeah, you definitely convinced me to get the BlendJet right now. So
well, I'm an influencer now.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. And yeah, if you have any other questions and if you reach out to me, you can go to our website and fill up a form and someone from our team would get back to you.
Yeah, we'll definitely be linking out Nisarg's details on the YT video too. And so yeah, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Ria, me, Nisarg, or anybody in his team, and we'll be happy to get into a chat and probably bring you on for another conversation too. All right.
For sure.
Right. See you around. Bye.
Thank you, Nisarg. Bye-bye.